Hey guys, welcome to a Friday SJU. We are coming off of our little sort of team holiday party. We might have been drinking a little, but I think that makes it better, right? Kim, welcome. How's it going for you?
All right, thank you. Yes, I promise I haven't had 2 glasses of wine. I've got, as ever, Boba Fett behind me, Jar Jar Binks too, who did not feature in this finale.
Unfortunately, no. We are going to talk all things the Mandalorian season 2 finale. The Rescue was the name of the episode, and that's the last thing I guess I'll say about the episode before the spoiler warning. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen the Mandalorian season 2 finale, you probably shouldn't watch this, or you don't care about spoilers and you should watch it. And this is how you want to get that information, because we're going to go all in, and there's a lot to talk about. So that's your spoiler warning. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Kim, Mandalorian season 2 finale. What did you think? What's your sum up thought on it?
Well, I mean, it was amazing. I wanted to take to Twitter immediately after watching it and just talk about everything, and I resisted. So my post ended up being "What finale?" which was very boring. The opposite of what the episode was. I guessed that Luke was the Jedi that would show up back when Grogu was summoning him or summoning a Jedi, but it did not lessen the impact, especially with that episode between where I kind of almost forgot a little bit about it. So and like that remarkable scene of him coming in, echoing Darth Vader from Rogue One. As he just massacred all those dark troopers was a wonderful callback.
It really was. It's funny. I'd gone back and forth on it, and I'd been thinking, I don't think it will be Luke. I just don't know if they want to go there. So, but then it became hard to figure out who would it be, who would matter. And Luke's, unless you're going to do the like Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu's really alive, Luke is one of the only characters that would have impact for everyone, because we'll talk about like who follows animation, who follows this and that, the video games, but Luke means something to everyone. And at the end of the day, so even though I wasn't quite, I wasn't sure going in if I wanted it, once I got it, I was pretty damn happy. I mean, because they did it so well, like with the just one X-Wing, and you're like, oh, I know who's on that X-Wing, and you're in trouble.
And I think actually, when you think about the fact that these two, this bond that Mando and Baby Yoda / Grogu have, and the pain caused by episode 6 of them separating, the only person actually that you'd feel comfortable with him giving Grogu up to is probably Luke. Right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we definitely trust in Luke. I mean, it does raise questions about Grogu's future, given Luke's new Jedi Academy isn't going to go so hot. There's plenty they have to, there's plenty they at some point need to answer about where Grogu ends up, right? Because right now it's like, did he get killed by Kylo Ren? And I think several of us have joked like, no, he's one of the Knights of Ren, and he gets killed by Ben at the end of Rise of Skywalker. He's one of the suits of armor. It raises a lot of questions, but I do think, as we all know, and we'll talk about, we have one more spinoff that just got revealed here, but we have plenty of Star Wars coming and plenty of places they can answer that question. We have not seen the last of Grogu, one way or the other. I think we're going to get more Grogu.
Well, I hope so. You talked there about, what happened to him. And did you feel like at the end there that, R2 and Grogu recognized one another?
I thought it was more that R2 recognized Grogu has looking like Yoda. I felt it was like, I knew someone like you. He and I fought over food. It was adorable. That's what I felt. That's what I felt that his recognition was, obviously Grogu kind of recognized Luke through the Force. Like, that moment with the screen, which was really cool.
It could still be Yoda's baby.
It could still be, yeah. Maybe R2's like, I spotted you in Dagobah. I never mentioned it. Now, a lot of people in the chat are mentioning how Luke looked, and this is the whole thing of the de-aging and the CGI. Yeah. It's funny because Rogue One is like one of my favorite Star Wars things of the past decade, and I still think like Tarkin doesn't look great and Leia doesn't look great, and then they did it here with Luke, and I didn't think he looked great. He looked okay. What do you think of just actually making a young Mark Hamill here digitally?
Yeah, I mean, he looked for me marginally better than the de-aged Carrie Fisher and Tarkin. I guess because they've paved the way with those two, it was less jarring for me. But I do agree, he didn't look great. They haven't quite got there yet with the effects. I wouldn't have minded if he'd been Mark Hamill at the age he is now. I would have accepted that.
Right. It's funny. It's so weird because I feel like, and this is a strange correlation, because Peyton Reed directed this episode, but I feel like the Ant-Man movies have done a really good job with the de-aging. Like I felt like Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer, I was like really like Michael Douglas in that opening scene when he walks in and it's the 80s. It's like, man, it looks great. So I don't know what it is with Star Wars. It's not like they're not dealing with the top special effects people who do amazing work every week. Why they can't seem to nail the aging thing here.
Yeah, that's true. You just reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well, and Kurt Russell's de-aging, which was pretty good.
Yeah. Marvel's got some special payoff. Lucasfilm doesn't. So that's the Luke of it all. Is it's hard not to like talk a lot about that because obviously it was a huge deal. But what did you think in general of this finale? Obviously it was called The Rescue for a reason. It was a rescue mission episode. We got Mando in kind of a Team Mando. He went back and collected all his friends from across the galaxy. Yeah. So did you like sort of seeing the group team up here?
I did, although to go back to Luke, it was a little bit of an anticlimax in a way because they didn't actually need to be there because Luke sweeps in and saves the day anyway. So, but yeah, it was all very thrilling, and I loved it all. I like what I liked most about this is the questions that it's opened up, as you touched on before, Eric.
Yeah, it was like there was a lot. They left plenty for the future. Like we just saw that look at Bo-Katan, who I believe got Midian. I could say that Moff Gideon called her Bo-Katan. He was pronouncing it differently than I do. But that whole interesting thing with the Darksaber and her sort of rules. And it's funny because on one hand, she doesn't have the rules that Mando has about the helmet. But she has this specific rule about, so we're getting more into these ideas of these people who have these creeds, this whole thing that they live by. And so she will not take the Darksaber from him. She has to best him in combat. Yeah,
although that came from Moff Gideon's mouth. And I think Star Wars Rebels, she gets the Darksaber from Sabine Wren, who gave it to her, right? And so
I was trying to remember that too because I've watched Rebels, but I don't think I don't think they fought. They didn't. Did they have a ceremonial combat over it? I was trying to remember that. I thought she just gave it to her though.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat will remind us.
Or perhaps Bo-Katan will decide that he's the rightful owner of it and not want to claim it back. I don't know, if he decides that he's going to press ahead with uniting the Mandalorians, maybe she'll step back.
Yeah, I think we're going to get, I do like this idea that we're getting more and more into the Mandalorian lore, which is hard to say, and learning these different facets, which is something that Filoni obviously did a lot with Clone Wars and Rebels, but now he's getting to do it here, bringing in these different sects of them, different people that grew up in different ways and were taught different things. And so, the Darksaber will clearly be like next season, Mando's going to be carrying that thing and then make some cool action figures where he's carrying the Darksaber. I think she's destined to get it back eventually. But I'm curious, like maybe they'll have some sort of honor combat, at some point to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
I do have to do my wrestling fan geek out here and say that Sasha Banks returned as Casca Reeves. And not only was it cool just to see her again because she's back wearing Mandalorian armor, but she delivered a tornado DDT to Boba Fett. She had a wrestling move she pulled off of one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars, and that's just an amazing sentence to say. So, thank you, Favreau and Filoni.
How did that compare for you with the Mando Moff Gideon fight?
Well, I thought it was cool. I thought, we don't know enough about Moff Gideon, right, to know like what is his fighting skills exactly. It was important, of course, to remember he doesn't have the Force. So once he got disarmed, he couldn't pull that saber to him like we're so used to seeing people do. it flew out of his hand. That was it. But I thought it was a good vicious fight. You knew Mando had to use that spear, right? Like he got that spear a few episodes ago, clearly, and we saw it fight a lightsaber. So it was funny when it was like Bo-Katan's like, Gideon's mine. I'm like, I don't know if he is, not in this episode. But I thought it was cool. I was glad they didn't kill him just because Giancarlo Esposito is so great. But I want to know more about this character. It's like, of course he's imposing, he looks cool, but I think we need to dig a little deeper on what his deal is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we didn't get any more mention of Thrawn this season, and it seems like he possibly reports into him. Do you think?
I feel like they've got to get into the hierarchy more, right? I think that's a good point. Is that the Imperial remnants and who is really calling the shots, and is there any leader at the top? And Thrawn is an obvious place to go with that. So, and the more we're getting spin-offs set in the same era, it just feels like, we're going to get to more, like, they had Ahsoka mention Thrawn's name so that now they can pick it up in her show. So I think we're going to get a lot of interlinking there. Let's talk about that other spin-off, the post-credit scene that I hope some people didn't turn off their TV for. What'd you think of that scene?
I skimmed along the bar at the bottom to see if there was a post credits, and there was. Amazing. I mean, now we know what happened to Bib Fortuna. He didn't last long.
He did not.
And I mean, nobody saw that coming, that they'd announce another series, did they?
It was just funny. Oh, the timing, right? Because they had this giant announcement of so many shows last week, but they're like, we're holding one,
I felt like they were laughing up their sleeves. We've got a really humdinger of a series to announce.
Well, yes. We'll have to say, just as you guys are stating that, chat seems to definitely be leaning towards, it seems like there's confusion over whether or not it is a separate series or just the new saga that starts with season 3 of The Mandalorian. There's evidence of both sides because they stated previously that season 3 would come in December 2021, even though that it usually comes in October. But Deadline, and which Eric used to point out to me, Deadline has reported as of 3 hours ago that they have it as a separate series. Either one could change or be, or whatever. So it's up in the air. So we don't know for sure what's going on there. At some point, Disney will have to clear it up. But
I was guessing, before we started recording, I was guessing come Monday. Who knows? It could be later today. But I have a feeling come Monday there might be like a press release that will be a little more, because I hadn't heard, and then I did see that mention that some people saying, oh, it's not Mando season 3 is not till December, because I was just assuming October and it would just end and go right into this Boba Fett series. But it's hard to say. Maybe is that just kind of their unofficial subtitle for Mando season 3? But that's a little weird to do the ending that way. I don't know. I think it's all on the table right now. Which would you prefer, Kim? An actual spinoff, or make it like that's like the crux of next season?
I'd like a spin-off because I'm still, as much as I'm happy that Grogu is with Luke and feel like he's in safe hands. I am heartbroken by their separation, and I want to see them come together again in some way, shape, or form.
I see. I'm jumping ahead a little here, but I see that Papa Birdman asked, "What do you think season 3 is going to be, and would it just be the Boba series instead?" Yeah, I feel like you can't. Like Boba's not going to take over the Mandalorian, right? It's like still going to be Din's story, and that they have to have him and Grogu reunited. And I feel like my guess is they have to show why Grogu is not still with Luke by the time of that flashback in The Last Jedi. I don't think we're supposed to think, oh yeah, when Kylo Ren burnt it all down, Grogu was there and died. I think he's supposed to have been somewhere else by that point. And these shows, but specifically The Mandalorian, because it's the one that like has told Grogu's story, I think will probably answer that question at some point.
Well, could it be that just like that Boba Fett, and not just I'm just fan fictioning here, but that he becomes the main antagonist or kind of this figure? It's still about the Mando that we know, but Boba Fett just he tries. Obviously, the implication is he's doing some Jabba, I'm the captain now stuff, and then maybe that starts to come in conflict or something. I'm just guessing, but it very easily could just be like almost like how like animes name their sagas after like villains or just characters. So it could be that. It's hard to tell.
It could be that, and Clone Wars did that a couple times, by the way. Like I remember season 2 was like something of the bounty hunters. I forget what word. And they could do that. And look with Boba Fett, because pointedly it's him and Fennec Shan. So first of all, we know one way or the other we're getting more Ming Na Wen, which I have no complaints about. And they certainly, the whole thing was they helped him because it's like they are like honor bound, even as like bounty hunters. But that's over. Like they helped him rescue the child. And now, yes, you could certainly have them be at conflict again after this if he has become the new crime lord, which it certainly seems the implication there at the end is. Kim, what do you think about for me, the one thing I need answered, and I think we will get this answered by that title, is why the hell did he never go get his armor before when it was already on Tatooine down the road? Seemingly easier to get it, no disrespect to Cobb Vanth. Why didn't he just go get it from Timothy Oliphant and shoot Bib Fortuna a long time ago?
I mean, maybe he didn't know he had it, and maybe it was something to do with Din Djarin's armor glinting in the sunshine that alerted him.
He was like, "Wait a second, I recognize the son off of Mandalorian, Beskar." I realize one thing we haven't talked about that's, I think, very important to talk about is the farewell between Din and Grogu, which is where actually the ending really solidified for me, because I was on the fence of did I want to see Luke or not, even though then I couldn't help but geek out when I got it. But I did worry, this might have just sucked all the air out of like an emotional goodbye. But then when he took the helmet off, it got me. And I was like, nope, it didn't, because they just got me really good. And I felt true, like, oh no, feelings there when he, when he decided I don't care who sees me take the helmet off because this is my son, my little green boy. What'd you think of that moment, Kim?
Yeah, I mean, it was lovely. They could have gone overboard. I did think for a moment that he might lean in and kiss him on the forehead, which may have spoiled things. But the tone was just right. They just pitched it just right, I think. And of course, that moment does solidify, because throughout the season he's been, at the start, the whole series, he was very adamant that he, this is the way and I do not show my face. And we've seen him at various points show more of it. And it was 2 episodes ago when he took it off to scan. Yeah. And that was for Grogu, that he did all that for Grogu. And then again today, he's like, whatever, I love this boy, I don't care, he's more important than my creed.
Yes, yeah, it's interesting because I saw some debate about whether him taking his helmet off in that previous episode this season was like undercut emotionally, like, because yes, we understood he was doing it for Grogu, but was it still like the right moment for the show to have him do it? But I thought they both worked in different ways. It's like that moment was so specific, goal oriented. The only character who saw his face said, "I won't tell anyone." And then this was like get you in the feels, I thought they did a very good 1-2 punch with that.
I think he's been a little bit influenced by Boba Fett as well, I would say, because obviously he was without his armor when they met. And, I guess he's seeing that now he's a bit more worldly, that there are other ways.
Yeah. No, this is the way, but
there's another way.
There are other ways. We're going to take a few more questions here, but I'm just going to pause for a second to say thank you guys so much for watching. This is actually our last live show of the year. Not our last show, though, but want to thank you as always for being here for us. Sorry, we were doing it's a weird time today because, again, we're coming right off of our soiree, where Kim won big, by the way. Her team was the winning team in trivia.
Dude, Kim making us all look dumb with the trivia wins this week. I'll just say, behind the scenes.
It was a very triumphant week for Kim.
I'm going to stay quiet and pretend it was all me and nothing to do with my team members.
But yes, thank you guys always for being here. If you haven't yet, if you can subscribe to our channel for videos every weekday, hit that like and the bell for us. We would love you for it. Let us go to a few more questions from you guys. I already asked Papa Birdman's one, but Green Lantern 1180 asks, thoughts on how many, quote, non-fans are going to stop watching, quote, the Baby Yoda show because of this? I think he means if Grogu is not a regular part of the series or maybe off screen for a while, would that take away some of the interest people have? What do you think, Kim? Are there people who are no Grogu, no me?
they don't deserve to watch the show if they're going to do that. No, that's mean. It's done lots of things wonderfully, this series. If you're a Star Wars fan, you came into it, you never watched it because of Grogu. It may have added a lot of cuteness to it and reasons to get excited every week, but I don't think it'll make fans drop off. No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's like, again, look, they have exploited the hell out of having Baby Yoda and all the merchandise you can get. But again, going back to the beginning, they were very both smart, but also commendable in that they never showed him in the lead up. People were just excited to see this Star Wars show. And then the end of the pilot, it was like, what? There's a Baby Yoda. And then the memes began. But I think people are just into the show, and and again, we will see him again, first of all. But even if we go a while without, I think that, 99% of the people are hooked in. And, they can do, like, they just announced those Groot shorts. They can do some Grogu shorts if they want. Some little cute training shorts for him. Enter Sandman asks, Twitter hated that Peyton Reed would be directing the finale. I wonder what they're saying now. First of all, no one should disparage the director of Bring It On ever. I guess I feel like he directed the second episode this season, which I guess would be a lot of people's least favorite, is the Frog Lady episode, but it was well directed. Like that scene with those spiders, that was really cool, sort of like giant monster Star Wars attack. What do you think of Peyton Reed's mixing with Star Wars this season a couple times, Kim?
Yeah, great. Yes, that was my least favorite episode, I think, that one you mentioned. Yeah. But this one was awesome. It could have been directed by Gareth Edwards. I mentioned the Rogue One parallels. And it was very un-Ant-Man. And of course, directors aren't always just one note. They have lots of strings to their bows.
Yeah.
So I think he's proved that with this episode.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you, you're mentioning your least favorite episode, how did this finale stack up for you this season, which I think, I certainly think, and I think you do too, very strong season overall. Because I would say it was great. It wasn't one of my very favorites of the season. I'd still think I would probably mention the Jedi, the episode with Ahsoka, and the tragedy with Boba Fett coming back. And it wasn't just because those cool characters came back. I just thought this one was a pretty final act heavy, because until then it was a fun action stuff, but it wasn't like a standard episode. And then it went crazy in that final act. What did you think of the finale compared to the whole season overall? Yeah,
it may have been my second favorite for sheer impact and the action was great, and the twist, the surprises, I love that. The one thing I haven't spoken about yet is that ridiculous moment when Moff Gideon tricks Dinger in, which was very pantomime. Do you know pantomimes? It's a very English thing, yeah.
I took theater classes.
But also I loved it. Anyway, yeah, so but my favorite was the Robert Rodriguez episode.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. But and I say that though, but when I think about the first half, I already talked about Sasha Banks doing a tornado DDT, but the whole thing was really cool. Like the whole TIE fighter, the fact that they flew in to the way the TIE fighters were coming out. And that was also, I know we're easy as Star Wars fans, but it's still like, ooh, that's how TIE fighters exit a ship like that. Like that cool.
I thought that too. It's the word. I had the same thing. I was like, oh, so that's how they do it. Like,
right. I guess that's one thing we should mention also is the term fan service, because it is like Luke showing up is crazy fan service. I just say they do it really well. They do it well enough that I'm not like, it's not just and that's where him taking off his helmet and making me like tear up a little is important, because it's like, it's not just the cool stuff. I am like into the story as well. What do you think the balancing act here is, Kim, as far as the fan service of it all?
Yeah, definitely. It's just Jon Favreau has just got it the balance exactly right. When I'm thinking about Solo, which wasn't one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and that felt very heavy-handed with the fan service, eye-rolling, groany type stuff, and putting stuff in there that was unnecessary. And this was all, I think, only elicited cheers from me.
Yeah. Kind of piggybacking on that. And the same for me. Dennis Ellis asked, do you think bringing in so many legacy characters takes away from the main focus and originality of The Mandalorian?
No, I don't. I like that it's left it. What it's done is open lots of doors. I mean, where's it going to go next? It obviously also opens up spin-offs. So we know that some of those characters are going to go off on their own adventures. For me, it hasn't. We'll see what happens next season.
Yeah, honestly, when I look at it, it's like bringing in Bo-Katan and Boba Fett. It's like, I guess, you didn't have to say Boba Fett survived, but the fact that they wear the armor, the fact that the show's called The Mandalorian, it only makes sense to like dive into that. I mean, in this episode, got back into the Boba Fett's not a true Mandalorian thing, which has been an ongoing online debate. Also, I think I mentioned her before doing one of these, but it's like, I always think of my sister, who is a huge Star Wars fan, but really movie focused. Like, she doesn't read the books. She doesn't watch the animated series. She loves The Mandalorian. But for her, when she saw the dark saber, she's just like, what's that cool saber? And when she meets Bo-Katan, she's just like, who's this cool character? And she hasn't been like, I'm lost. I don't get it. And that's kind of been my litmus test. She's just like, cool thing that I'm into and I want to know more about. So as long as they're balancing that, like Luke Skywalker, like I said, looks like she is going to text me when she watches the episode tonight. I'm sure of it. I'm like freaking out about it. But I think that they're kind of allowed that as long as they don't do it constantly, right? Like, I don't want them to all the time have like a Luke Skywalker level thing happen. But Filoni bringing in these characters that he cultivated that makes sense, why not?
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. Rather than especially if you need characters for a TV series, why not go to the archives?
Right.
Pick up new ones.
Yeah, you got a deep bench here, so let's do that. Let's do a couple more questions here before we bring it home. Let's see. Olivia Piranio asks, sorry if I massacred your last name there, Olivia. How do you think all these shows will come together in a, quote, epic event like Kathy Kennedy said it would? Which is something we talked about a little bit last week, how we weren't quite sure. It seemed like she was implying there might be like some big crossover with all these, for sure 3, maybe 4 shows that are taking place at the same time. What do you think would be the crux of such a thing, Kim, if that is what's occurring?
I mean, like an Avengers type team up, maybe, I guess. I guess that's what they're after.
Yeah, and I think Grogu will be part of it for sure. Like, as far as importance to the story, not just like Mandalorian will be part of it, but I'm like, what is happening is Grogu will be important to it. And I think Thrawn makes sense. Like you mentioned, like, who's in charge here with the Imperials that are around still? It makes sense if you build, if Thrawn is their Thanos for a big, like 3 or 4 show crossover.
Maybe we'll have another, like, Dooku and Yoda, but Thrawn and Grogu.
There you go. Blue versus green. Choose your side. Enter Sandman. Actually, I'm glad Enter Sandman asked this question because it reminds me of something I forgot to mention about this episode. Will Filoni redeem the sequel trilogy through these spin-offs? He put in quotes, make it more watchable. This is interesting because the thing is, like, if you look at Clone Wars, it absolutely deepened the prequels. Like, it gave depth that wasn't there and helped explain Anakin's fall a lot better. And when I watch the prequels, it does help to be like, well, I can understand why he's already so angry or what his issues are with the Jedi, because I watched 7 seasons of a show that explained it a lot better than these movies did and did deepen it. And so, Kim, I posit to you that specific question. And I also say they were totally already hinting at it here, right? With Gideon saying he will restore order, as in the First Order, to the galaxy with what they're doing with Grogu's DNA there.
Yeah, is this going to circle back to Snoke, who was a controversial figure, and there's been hints that maybe he's behind the cloning of Snoke's. We had a hint of that in Rise of Skywalker, didn't we, when we saw him in some bodies in that resembled him in the tanks.
Yeah, I think it'll the Palpatine of it all, the Snoke of it all. They are already hinting at it. Like, what do they want with the child with the high M count and restoring order to the galaxy? This is, what we're still like 25 years before the sequel trilogy takes place. but I think they are planting those seeds. And I think it will do. Like, the thing is with the prequels, because people have really come around to them, and I'm like, well, there's two things that made people come around to the prequels, which is time and nostalgia, but also the Clone Wars series, you know. And I think it's going to all happen again. I think in 15 years, people will look back much more fondly on the sequels because little kids who grew up with them will be like, I love them, and we'll have 20 Disney Plus shows that helped strengthen everything that were in those movies.
Exactly. They'll become critical cogs in the wheel, in the big wheel.
Right. Because we'll be like, oh, I hated how they rushed through that in Rise of Skywalker, but the 6 Filoni Favreau series did an amazing job of really bringing it all together for us. and that is a criticism with love, right, about Star Wars. It's like there's a lot of cliff notes here, or a lot of additional reading or additional TV viewing you do for it. But we love it.
We do. Unconditionally.
That's right. But, you know, we'll vent too about it sometimes. I'll do one last question here. Then, Ryan, I'll take it to you for some State of the Union, which is Derek Plummer just asks, which MCU director is going to direct the finale next season? Great question. Taika Waititi directed the season 1 finale. Peyton Reed directed the season 2 finale.
Kenneth Branagh.
Nice choice. Yeah, no, I'm blinded. I can't think of anybody else but Ken.
Let's just go big with get the Russos, man. Call the episode The End Game and bring them in.
John Watts, why not give him that as well as the Fantastic?
Yeah. He needs work. Yeah, he needs something to do.
I guess I can juggle this with Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. Sure. Guys, thank you for all those questions. I will have plenty more to ponder, plenty more to talk about, because again, they got a lot of Star Wars coming at us. Ryan, why don't you explain to these folks programming for the next couple weeks?
Oh, hey, everybody. The voice of, I guess, God is here.
The voice of God.
Hey, so this is the last live show. We've filmed the next 2 weeks, 3 shows a week, plus some extra vids. But there's going to be, the normal live time, the next 2 weeks, we'll have some fun pre-tapes going up. We'll also have some review. We have a second review with Eric and Roth doing Wonder Woman. This is a full spoiler, dive deep on all things in that movie chat. We also have another, Spencer wrote a watch this, which is some of the videos that we made earlier in the spring, the recommendation videos. Spencer has another one of those coming up. I think I'm going to put that up this weekend, so you'll have some time before Christmas to get some recommendations from Spencer on things to watch. And then we'll have 6 shows, including Honest Trailers commentary next week. On Tuesday, there will be a Honest Commentaries, and then there won't be for the second one, but you'll see why when you see the Honest Trailer. So you guys, for the next 2 weeks, you'll have plenty of programming on SJ and Fandom Entertainment and Honest Game Trailers for the fans who are watching along with those. And then we will be back live Monday, January 4th.
Thank you, Ryan. Kim, thank you so much for joining me today to talk Mando.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Ryan, by the way, thank you for all your hard work. And Jonathan, thank you for your hard work. And guys, again, this is our final live show, but keep coming back for the ones we have the next couple of weeks. We have some fun stuff for you. But thank you so much for joining us this year. It's not been the best year. I don't know if you've heard, but we really appreciate you being here with us to have some fun talking about some dorky stuff and try to take a little break from it all. So thank you guys. Keep watching, and we'll be back live in a couple weeks. Take care.